Okay, welcome everyone to our second writing lesson of the general training module. We have already talked about informal letters. We talked about cohesive devices, referencing, some vocabulary or an expressions used for informal letters. Now we are going to talk about writing formal letters and the expressions that you need to use in formal letters. And we're going to see two examples of formal letters. So let's begin. As discussed before, we already talked about that there are three types of letters. In task one, you can write an informal letter. We've already talked about this. Then semi-formal and formal letters. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about formal letters. So let's begin. It's really helpful if you can understand the reason behind writing the letter. You are writing, why are you writing a letter or the letter? Okay, you can write a letter to invite someone, to request something, to praise someone, to arrange a meeting, to apply for a job, to apologize, to complain, to resign, to advise, to explain and give details, to provide information. And each, of course, each purpose has its own vocabulary, collocations, and expressions. In today's lesson, we are going to see two examples. The first one is on the screen. It says you work for an international company and would like to spend 6 months working in its head office in another country. Write a letter to your manager in your letter. So I will be writing a letter to my manager. Of course, this is going to be a formal letter. I'm not writing to a friend or maybe a neighbor. If I'm writing to a neighbor, it could be semi-formal or semi-formal letter. If I'm writing to my friend, it's going to be an informal letter, right? But now I'm writing to a manager, my manager. So it has to be a formal letter. In your letter, you will have to do the three things. Explain why you want to work in the company's head office for 6 months. So I'm going to be giving a reason. Say how your work could be done while you're away. Ask for his or her help in arranging it. Write at least 150 words. You don't need to write any addresses. So let's begin our journey, okay? First of all, you need to come up with a plan before you begin. You need a plan for the letter. First of all, you need to underline the key words in the question, the main or the most important words. I underlined work because I work for an international company and I would like to spend 6 months working in its head office in another country. So for me, these are the most important words. Now I need to highlight or underline the most important words in the bullet points, the bullet point directives. Explain. So the first thing that I need to do is explaining something. Why you want to work in the company's head office for 6 months. I need to explain why. Say how your work could be done while you're away. So I need to give them more information about that. Ask for help. I'm asking for help in arranging it. Okay, so the letter is formal and it's a request because I need to request something. I'm asking my manager that I be moved to another country in the head office of our company in another country. So it's formal and it's a request. You have to understand that the purpose of the letter is going to help you write the actual letter, the paragraphs, okay? And it's formal because it's I'm writing it to my manager. Now for paragraph 1, we said that for each directive, for each of the bullet points, you need to write just a few keywords, not keywords, maybe just notes, okay? So you can have an idea of what you are going to write in the paragraph. So I wrote something like, wife got a job, needs training for 6 months. So my wife got a job um, um, in her company. Maybe she got promoted, but she needs training for 6 months before she can be promoted. Okay. For the second bullet point, say how your work could be done while you're away. I would say something like a colleague could find a replacement. So I could write maybe 2 or 3 sentences about a replacement. 3, ask for his or her help in arranging it. I could write something like contact HR team in London office for arrangements. So maybe I need my manager's help in arranging the move, the relocation. So before we start writing the letter, this is a very good exercise. Which sentence is better? We have sentences here. Each point has maybe 2 or even 4 sentences. And you need to pause the video and figure out which one is best, which sentence is best. Okay, and come back when you're done. Okay, for the first point, we have 3. For number 1, we have 3 sentences. I am writing because I want to go to work at the company's head office in London. Or I'm writing to formally request that I relocate to the company's head office in London. Or I'm writing to formally request that I be relocated to the company's head office in London. So now I have 3 sentences. Which one do you think that it's appropriate for the letter? Of course, we are writing a request. So the 3 sentences are requesting something, right? But we are writing a formal letter. So which one do you think is better, is the better choice? I would say the third one. I'm writing to formally request that I be relocated to the company's head office in London. Why? But why this one is the best? The first one, I'm writing because I want to go to work at the company's head office in London. This is not a very polite sentence, actually. It's like, I want you to move me to the head office in London. Okay, and it's like asking him directly. That's something that you should avoid. Okay. What about the second one? It's exactly the same, but it doesn't use the passive, right? That I relocate to the company's head office in London. So it doesn't use the passive. So the third sentence here is better because it uses the passive. I'm writing to formally request that I be moved or relocated to the company's head office in London. Because actually you are asking the manager, he's the one that will authorize the move. Okay. He can control this, not you. So it's more polite because you can't relocate yourself to the head office in London. You want your manager to do that. So you have to put it in the passive voice. Okay. What about number 2? The reason for this request is that my wife has been offered a managerial position within her company. Okay, good. The request is because my wife got a promotion at her work. Okay. The reason for this request is that my wife's manager, Mr. Ahmed Ali, who is a really nice man, offered my wife a managerial position. Okay. The reason for this request is that my wife was offered a managerial position within her company. So which one is better? Let's take a step back and try to think about it. The first one, the reason for this request is that my wife has been offered a managerial position within her company. Okay. This is a good one because it uses the passive. Of course, because your wife's manager did this, he offered her a position. So we use the passive, has been offered. Okay. The second one, the request is because my wife got a promotion at her work. Actually, this sentence uses the past simple tense, got a promotion, and we're not talking about something that has nothing to do with the present time. Actually, we are talking about something that's related to the present time. So I have to use the present perfect simple. Okay. So we will cross out B. It's not suitable for our letter. C, the reason for this request is that my wife's manager, Mr. Ahmed Ali, who is a really nice man. Actually, this sentence is a bit weird because there is some information that has nothing to do with the letter. We don't really, your manager doesn't really care about Mr. Ahmed Ali and that he's a nice man. It has nothing to do with the paragraph that you're writing. So we said that each sentence in the paragraph has to support the idea of the paragraph. And the idea that, or the sentence, or the clause that Mr. Ahmed Ali is a really nice man has nothing to do with the move or relocation, or even your wife. Okay. Offered my wife. Okay. D, the reason for this request is that my wife was offered. So we said D uses the past simple tense. We can't use the past simple tense here. And C provides unnecessary information. B also uses the past simple tense, and it's direct. The request is because. But A, the reason for this request, we use here referencing. This refers back to the request that I want to move for 6 months to our head office in London. Okay, so this is the most appropriate one. It uses the passive because your wife has been offered, her manager offered her, has offered her a position, a managerial position. So this is the most appropriate sentence. Moving on to the third one, only if she gets a training course for 6 months. Or B, this is only on the condition that she enrolls for a training program for a 6 months period. It's very obvious, actually. It's obvious that the second one is much better because it also uses the referencing. This thing about her job is only on the condition that she enrolls for a training program for a 6 months period. What about 4? I want to keep my family together for this period, and I would like to keep my family together during this period. So it's obvious that the second one is much better because you can't say actually, I want to keep my family. What do you want might be not important for the company. Okay, so you could say I would like. It's much more polite and formal. What about 5? I have taken into consideration how my duties and responsibilities here could be done while I'm away. Actually, B, I've been thinking about. Okay, and C, I have taken into consideration how my duties and responsibilities here could be completed in my absence. Okay. Of course, the first one uses contractions. I've taken, not I have taken, and while I'm away, not while I am away. You should and you must avoid contractions while you are writing a formal letter. So any contractions should be avoided. Okay. The third one is very formal and it's appropriate for the letter. I have taken into consideration, which means I've been thinking about, but I've been thinking about this B, point B is informal English. I shouldn't be saying I've been thinking about in a formal letter. So I have taken into consideration how my duties and responsibilities here could be completed in my absence. So I should not be saying while I'm away. This is informal English. I should say something like completed in my absence. Okay. 6. Muhammad Shawqi, a colleague in human resources with who I discussed this plan, not plane, of course, just told me that he can arrange for a temporary replacement if you approve my relocation. B, Muhammad Shawqi, a colleague in human resources with whom I have discussed this plan, not plane, has informed me that he could arrange a temporary replacement if this move is approved. As you can see, the second sentence is much better. It uses the pronoun whom, okay, because we said in the intermediate course that whom is more formal than who. And it uses also the present perfect simple I have discussed, because all this is related to the present time. I'm not talking about something that happened last month and this discussion is closed. No, it's something that's connected to the present time. So I have to use the present perfect simple. Has informed me that he could arrange a temporary replacement. This is a very good collocation. If this move, this relocation is approved. Actually, if you look at the first sentence, if you approve my relocation, and in this point B, if this move is approved. The second one is much better, of course, because it uses the passive voice. It's not like talking to the manager directly. If you approve my relocation, if you approve this, no, you are using the passive to sound more polite and formal. Okay, if this move is approved by the manager or maybe someone else in the management and their managerial staff, I'm not sure, but if this move is approved by management, okay. I'd be thankful if you could contact Mr. Jack Patrick, who's in charge of the human resources team in the London head office, in order to start the relocation process. And B, I would be grateful if you could contact Mr. Jack Patrick, who's in charge of the human resources team at the London head office, to initiate the relocation process if my request is approved. Okay. Actually, the second one is much better for many reasons. Actually, the first one, it doesn't use contractions like the first one. I'd be, we should avoid I'd be and all contractions in formal contexts. I would be grateful. I would be grateful if you could contact Mr. Jack Patrick. And of course, here we have a non-defining relative clause. We are going to talk about it one more time. Who is in charge of the human resources team at the London head office to initiate. This is also a formal word. It means to begin or start something. Okay. Initiate the relocation process if my request is approved. Actually, if my request is approved, it sounds like if this move is approved. So this is a repetition and we should avoid repeating ourselves. Okay. 2, thank you for reading my letter and I am waiting for a reply regarding the relocation process. And the second one, thank you for your cooperation and consideration. The second one is much better because the first one actually uses contractions. It uses informal language, reading my letter. And I'm waiting for a reply regarding the relocation process. It's like repeating yourself one more time, and we should avoid doing so. 3, yours faithfully or yours sincerely, because if you start the letter, of course, you know the name of your manager, so I can't say yours faithfully. I know him, I know his name, so I would say yours sincerely. That's it. Okay, so moving on. Now, this is the letter. Dear Mr. Salah. In the question, it doesn't say start the letter with dear sir or madam. Okay, so I said, dear Mr. Salah, I'm writing to formally request that I be relocated to the company's head office in London from June 2022 to December 2022. So you have to use the dates. You have to use the actual dates of the move. Don't just leave it like that. You have to use because this is listen, you have to imagine yourself actually writing the letter. You have to imagine yourself that you are working for an international company and would like to spend 6 months working in its head office in another country. You have to imagine this. Otherwise, you can't write all the facts, okay? Because you have to imagine these facts first. The reason for this request is that my wife has been offered a managerial position within her company or in her company, it doesn't really matter. This is only on the condition that she enrolls in a training program for a 6 months period. I would like to keep my family together during this period. I want you to read this paragraph 1 or 2 times and try to understand what's missing from this paragraph, because there's something obviously missing. Okay, you can pause the video and read it once or twice. Here is the paragraph one more time. Okay, and this is the improved version. Let's read it. The reason for this request is that my wife was offered a managerial position within her company, but this is only on the condition that she enrolls in a training program for a 6 months period. And I would like to keep my family together during this period. So in this paragraph, I used 2 cohesive devices here, but and. Okay, these cohesive devices connect the ideas, the sentences, and their ideas of your paragraph. Okay, but gave something like the opposite of the previous clause. Okay, that she was offered a managerial position within her company, but there's something. Hold on, there's something. Only on the condition that she enrolls in a training course. And I'm adding an idea. I would like to keep my family together during this period. So you have to use cohesive devices as you are writing the letter. Okay. This is the whole letter, and these are some of the cohesive devices. Actually, references. Okay, welcome back. I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, this is the letter, and these are some of the cohesive devices we have used. We also talked about referencing, which is using a pronoun to refer back to a noun. And references could be considered, actually, they are considered cohesive devices. Okay. Moving on to the language that we need in formal letters. What expressions can you use? You shouldn't memorize these expressions, but you should use them in writing formal letters as you practice for the exam. Now we have some useful expressions for apology. We could say, please accept my sincere or deepest apologies for something, for not attending the meeting, for being late in my reply, for the delay caused by something, and so on. Please allow me to apologize for, then you say what you're sorry about. I would like to express my deep regrets for, or deepest regret, as you wish. I would like to apologize on behalf of maybe my friends, my wife, my brother, and so on. I would like to maybe on behalf of our team at the company, I would like to apologize unreservedly for, this is a very good expression. It's with deep regret that I must inform you of something. Okay, here are some expressions that you can use to thank someone. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for something, for your help with, or your, actually help isn't a formal word. We could say for your assistance. You can use the noun assistance, not help. I greatly appreciate your assistance. I sincerely appreciate something. My sincere appreciation, gratitude, thanks for attending the meeting last week, whatever you like to say, thank someone for. Thank you for your assistance, consideration, encouragement, guidance, support, thoughtfulness, and so on. Thanks very much for the assistance you have provided. It's sincerely appreciated. We could say thanks very much too, okay? Okay, here are some expressions that you can use to request something. I am writing to request maybe a meeting with you in the immediate future, maybe next week or so. I would be grateful if you could send something, arrange, attend. It's followed by a verb in the infinitive form. Your swift cooperation is greatly appreciated. I would request your immediate attention to the matter. It's very formal to express maybe dissatisfaction about something. Maybe you complained about something and you request that the reader of your letter, maybe a manager of a restaurant, a manager at work or something, you request his immediate attention to the matter. I would also be grateful if you could send me. Okay, this using the word also could be a mark of a second request in a letter. Maybe you're requesting two things, so you could say you could use an example. For example, for the first request, I would be grateful if you could arrange a meeting for next week. I would also be grateful if you could send me something. Okay, or you could use I'm writing to request a meeting with you in the immediate future. I would also be grateful if you could send me something. Okay, now there are some useful expressions for complaint when you complain about something. I'm writing to express my concerns, frustrations regarding the issue of. I would like to draw your attention to maybe the appalling treatment we received at your establishment last night. Maybe at your restaurant last night, or and so on. I would like to make a complaint about something. I would like to formally complain about. This one is better than the previous one. If no action is taken, I will be forced to maybe take the issue to management staff, whatever. Okay. These are 5 expressions that you can use to invite someone. You are formally invited to attend maybe the wedding of Ahmed and someone else on June 5th. I am writing to extend my invitation to something. I would appreciate your presence. I would like to invite you to. I would be honored if you could attend our wedding, for example. Okay, what about job application? There are some useful expressions that you can use to. I'm writing to express my interest in the position of. I am writing to apply for the job you advertised in, maybe in a certain newspaper or something. I'm writing in connection with the job advertisement in. I truly believe that I have the required skill set for. I would be happy to attend an interview at any time convenient to you, and so on. Okay, steps and tips. This slide is called steps and tips. First of all, you need to underline the keywords in the question itself, and the bullet points just in less than 1 minute. Create a plan for the paragraphs. Maybe it shouldn't take more than 1 minute too. Start your letter with an introductory sentence. I am writing to express my concerns. I'm writing to complain about. I'm writing to formally complain about. I'm writing to invite you to something, and so on. This is your introductory sentence. Write a paragraph for each bullet point directive, and your paragraph should be 3 or 4 sentences, depending on the sentence that you are using. Then you will end your letter, and that's it. But there are some tips I want you to read, okay, or take into consideration. Use different sentence types. Use compound sentences, using coordinators and conjunctive adverbs. We talked about this in the intermediate course. You need to also use complex sentences with defining and non-defining relative clauses. And punctuation is very important in compound sentences and complex sentences. Use the conditionals if required or if it's necessary. Use cohesive devices and referencing, and without them, your paragraph, your letter will be weak. Okay, it's not. We said that cohesive devices connect the ideas in the paragraph and even between paragraphs and even within the same sentence. Use synonyms and paraphrasing. Don't repeat yourself. If you are talking about a training center, you can say once a training center, then if you want to mention this again in the letter, you could say something like the school or the it depends on the situation. We are going to see an example in this session. Use descriptive language. You need to add more details, like when we talked about that my wife is was offered or has been offered a managerial position, I gave more information. I told my manager that she has to enroll in a course, in a 6 months course. Okay, so this is using descriptive language. Actually, descriptive language means much more than that, but it's just an example. Do not overuse cohesive devices. Sometimes I see people, I'm sorry, writing, however, in every sentence. They could use, however, 3 times in a row in one paragraph. Okay, in 3 sentences, I mean, which is a big mistake. We don't usually write like that. Okay. Okay. We need to see some examples for compound sentences and complex sentences. We have here 2 sentences. Our meeting was entirely successful. We will arrange for the upcoming event at your hotel. These are 2 simple sentences, and I need to connect them using a coordinator and a conjunctive adverb. I could use the coordinator and create one compound sentence using these 2 simple sentences. I will have to put a comma after the first one and use and, okay, as a coordinator, then put full stop at the end. Or I could use an adverb like as a result to connect the 2 sentences. I preceded with a semicolon, then put a comma afterwards, then end the sentence with a full stop. We talked about this in the intermediate course in about 3 sessions. Okay. What about complex sentence? A complex sentence doesn't connect 2 independent clauses like the compound sentence. A compound sentence connects 2 independent clauses, but a complex sentence, you have one very important idea in an independent clause and one less important idea in a dependent clause. So you connect them in one sentence like this one: because our meeting was entirely successful, comma, we will arrange for the upcoming event at your hotel. If because is in the middle of the sentence, we don't use comma before it, okay? Only when it's the first word in a sentence, that's it. Moving on to something very important, we also talked about this in the intermediate course, defining and non-defining relative clauses. As you know, a clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. Defining relative clauses or defining clauses, these clauses define nouns. It's like an adjective for the noun, but not an adjective in a word. It's a clause. So it's a clause that acts like an adjective. For example, I could say the computer which has a fast processor is mine. So I said the computer which has a fast processor is mine. The computer, it's like saying a fast computer, okay? If which has a fast processor, this clause defines the noun, the computer. It replaces an adjective, right? I could say the fast computer is mine, but the fast computer isn't as good as the computer which has a fast processor. So I am using a clause to define or describe the noun. So this is defining relative clauses, okay? My computer, which has a fast processor, is expensive. Which has a fast processor is also giving more information about my computer. I'm not saying that I'm giving you extra information about my computer, okay? But there's one important thing that you need to understand is the punctuation of defining and non-defining relative clauses. Sometimes you see which preceded by a comma and sometimes you don't. So let's talk about that. Okay, for the first one, the computer which has a fast processor is mine. If the clause defines and gives you important, necessary information about the noun, don't use commas. It cannot be separated from the sentence. It's a part of the sentence. It defines the noun. I can't say the computer is mine. I can't just cross out which has a fast processor. I can say the computer is mine and that's it. What computer? What are you talking about? Okay. But when I say the computer which has a fast processor is mine, then I'm defining the word, the computer. Okay. Let's look at the following one. My computer which has a fast processor is expensive. Here, the expression or the yes, we could say expression. My computer. Okay. Actually, my defines computer. It's my computer. My computer is expensive. If I leave out which has a fast processor, the listener can understand what I'm talking about. My computer is expensive. So this is what we call a non-defining relative clause. It doesn't actually define my computer, the noun. It gives you more information about it. I could go and say my computer is expensive and that's it. You understand what I'm talking about, right? Unlike the first one, the computer is mine. What computer? What are you talking about? Right? But the second one, this information in the non-defining relative clause is extra information. The listener could still understand you if you leave it out. Okay. My friend who lives in Asia is wealthy. And my friend who lives in Asia is wealthy. Actually, here you have a choice. You can write it as a defining relative clause or a non-defining relative clause. But what's the difference between the one with the commas and the one with no commas? When you say my friend who lives in Asia is wealthy, okay, you are giving important information about your friend. My friend who lives in Asia is wealthy. Maybe I have only one friend. Okay, I have a friend who lives in Asia. Maybe he is my only friend. This is a bit difficult to understand, by the way. And when I say my friend who lives in Asia, in the second one, I'm giving extra information, is wealthy. Maybe I have many friends and this is just one of them. I'm giving you extra information, not necessary information. Okay. Moving on to the third one. Scientists who study physics are called physicists. Here, I am defining the word scientists. Scientists are called physicists. Can I leave out who study physics? No, I can't. Because not all scientists are physicists, right? Only those who study physics, right? So this is a defining relative clause. I don't need to put a comma. Actually, it would be a mistake to put a comma before who, before the relative pronoun who. The second one, a friend of mine at Cairo University who is majoring in physics received a grant to study physics at Harvard. Oh, that's good news, right? Anyway, here I put two commas to separate this extra information from the sentence, because if you say a friend of mine at Cairo University received a grant to study physics at Harvard, the sentence still makes perfect sense. Okay. So this sentence has an undefining relative clause who is majoring in physics, because you are just giving extra information. You can leave it out and the listener could still understand what you're saying. A friend of mine at Cairo University received a grant to study physics at Harvard. It makes sense that your friend is a physicist, right? He's not a medical doctor or something, right? Because he will study physics at Harvard. Anyway, families whose incomes are below a certain level pay no income tax. And Ahmed's family, whose income is more than 50,000 pounds, pays more taxes. So here I have two sentences. The first one has a defining relative clause. Families whose incomes are below a certain level pay no income tax. So I can just leave out whose incomes are below a certain level. This is like an adjective to the word families. I'm not talking about all families. No, I'm talking about a certain group of families. Those whose incomes are below a certain level. Okay, they pay no income taxes. So whose is a relative pronoun and it introduces the defining relative clause. But when I talk about Ahmed's family, as you can see, Ahmed's family, this is something specific. Ahmed's family pays more taxes. Okay, and this is just extra information whose income is more than 50,000 pounds. Okay, so if you are defining a noun, don't use commas. If you are giving extra information using relative pronouns like whom, who, which, you have to use commas. You don't have to use commas. I'm sorry, you shouldn't use commas. Okay, question 2. This is another example of a formal letter. You are not satisfied with the changing rooms in a sports center that you visit. Write a letter to the sports center manager. So I'm writing to a manager. Okay. So it's a formal letter. In your letter, explain the problem. Say how you feel about this problem. Say what steps you would like the manager to take. Moving on to the plan. First of all, you need to underline the most important words, the key words. You are not satisfied. This is your first keyword. With the changing rooms in a sports center that you visit. So changing rooms in a sports center. Write a letter to the sports center manager. Sometimes I choose not to underline the word manager because it makes sense to me. Okay, but for other people or students, they could do that. They could underline the word manager. And your letter explain the problem. Say how you feel about this problem. Say what steps you would like to take. You would like the manager to take. So explain problem. Say how you feel. Of course, I underlined the problem once. So I say feel about the problem, right? Say steps manager to take. First of all, I need to come up with a plan. I underline the keywords. It's a formal complaint. The letter is a formal complaint. So for the first paragraph, you need to explain the problem. As we said, you have to imagine yourself in this situation. So what problems could you complain about in I mean for changing rooms in a sports gym or a sports center? Okay, maybe the floors are dirty. There's a bad smell. The air conditioning could be there might be some problems with it. The ventilation system and so on. So you have to come up with important notes. These are notes you have to write down. For the first paragraph, I wrote dirty floor, smell, air conditioning. As you write the paragraph, you can add ideas or change ideas. It's fine. For the second paragraph, it says how you feel about this problem. Feel carelessness affecting my visits, because if the floors are dirty and I'm not comfortable about this, I might not come again, right? Okay, for the third paragraph, say what steps you would like the manager to take. Complete redecoration and housekeeping staff. I will be talking about a complete redecoration and maybe something related to housekeeping staff. Then I will end the paragraph. Here's the first look at the letter. Dear Mr. Ahmed, I write to express my concerns about the bad conditions of the changing room at your place. I write? No, this is our first mistake. I am writing to express my concerns or frustrations. We took this one from the previous slides about the bad conditions. Can you find or come up with a word better than bad? Okay. Changing rooms, not room, the changing rooms at your place. Can you find a more descriptive language that's better than at your place? I'm not talking about his house, am I? I'm talking about the sports center. So I can't say at your place. I have to use descriptive language, and I can't say the bad conditions. Okay. There are several bad things with the changing room that are unacceptable. Bad things, you need to find something that's more powerful than the expression bad things. The floors are always dirty, and they have been like that for many weeks now, which leads me to question whether a housekeeping staff is there. Is there? There where? This is a misused reference. The smell is always bad. Then this is the third time I used bad, which is a mistake. Don't repeat yourself. And I cannot tolerate it. This complete carelessness on your part has left me wondering if I should cancel my subscription and look somewhere else. I feel abandoned as a member because it has been horrible, like your sports center. I made a mistake here. I repeated the word because. Okay. Okay, there are actually inappropriate tone in this paragraph. This complete carelessness on your part has left me wondering if I should cancel my subscription. Actually, it's membership, not a subscription. There's a big difference between these two words. And this complete carelessness on your part, maybe the manager has nothing to do with it. Maybe someone else. So I shouldn't use this inappropriate tone. Okay. It has to be formal, but don't attack him. Okay. I feel abandoned as a member because it has been horrible. Something has been horrible. Maybe the whole experience, like your sports club center. So I'm describing his sports center as horrible. I should avoid using this inappropriate tone. Okay. To solve the problem, I want you to fully redecorate the sports club as well as employ a housekeeping staff. If you don't take action, I will end my membership and recommend others to do the same. First of all, you are using an inappropriate tone, or should I say I am using an inappropriate tone because I wrote this letter. I want you to fully redecorate. You can't just say, I want you to do something. Okay, you should ask him and don't threaten him. When you say, if you don't take action, I will end my membership. You are threatening him. Don't do that. Okay, so thanks, Omar. For a formal letter, do you think that you are the only member called Omar in the sports club in Cairo, for example? No. So you have to write your full name, Omar Mustafa, for example. Okay, don't just write Omar and that's it. Okay, let's look at the letter written one more time. This time it uses different inappropriate tone and some bitter words and expressions. I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction about the appalling conditions of the male changing rooms at Beach House Sports Center. Here I said the appalling, I didn't say bad conditions, I said the appalling conditions of the male changing rooms because my name is Omar Mustafa. I wouldn't be talking about the female changing rooms, obviously. Okay, it wouldn't make any sense, right? At Beach House Sports Club or at the Beach House Sports Club. Okay. Here I use descriptive language. This is what you need to do. You need to describe. You need to imagine yourself. If you are writing to the manager, you have to be specific. Okay. Don't say at your place. This is a big mistake. What place? Are you talking about his home? Because this is informal language and it means his home. There are several issues, not bad things, with the changing facilities. In the introductory statement or sentence, you said changing rooms. You should not use this expression again. So I said changing facilities that are unacceptable and need immediate attention. So these several issues need immediate attention. Firstly, I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be giving him a list of the issues of these bad things. All right. Firstly, the floors are unsanitary, which a formal word for dirty, and it has been the case for several weeks now. So this has been the case for several weeks now. I used the present perfect simple because this has to do with the present time, which leads me to question whether housekeeping staff is even employed at the center. You are doubting that there are some cleaners who clean the floor. Okay. Secondly, there is a putrid odor that pervades the air in the rooms. We have the word putrid and pervades. Pervades means spread out. Pervades the air, which means that it's everywhere in the rooms. And this is extremely unpleasant. Finally, so I said firstly, then secondly, and then finally. I'm connecting my paragraph. These are some cohesive devices, right? The insufficient ventilation is causing faster breathing, which having a seriously negative effect on exercise. So you talked about the floors, the dirty floors, then the smell, the bad smell, and then the ventilation system. Okay, three things that you are having problems with. Okay, this complete failure of the facilities in question. This complete failure of the facilities in question. You are describing the facilities as complete failure. Okay, in question. This is another expression that uses references. Okay, I'm referring back to the male changing rooms, the changing facilities, but I couldn't find another synonym for the male changing rooms and the changing facilities. I don't want to repeat myself one more time. So I used something different. I said the facilities in question, the facilities I'm talking about in this letter. Okay, so this expression refers back to the male changing rooms at the sports club. Has left me wondering whether to cancel my membership and look elsewhere. I can only feel neglected as a member when my experience is considered or deemed. They have the same meaning, but deemed is much more. It's a better word. It's much more better. Okay. Less important than marginal profit gains. This is also a good expression, which means that I feel undervalued because you don't appreciate my my coming to your sports center, right? And because you don't hire a good housekeeping staff, because you care about money more than this is what I mean by marginal profit gains, because they care about money more than hiring housekeeping staff. Okay, to remedy the situation or to address the problem, you could say either one is fine. I would strongly advise a full refurbishment of the facilities as well as the employment of a regular cleaner. If no action is taken, I will be forced to end my membership and recommend others to do the same. Here, we use the passive. If no action is taken, I will be forced. I will be forced because you are forcing me. You are making me do that because of these problems, right? So if no action is taken, I would be forced to do something. This is much better than saying, if you don't do anything, I will end my membership. It's like threatening him. Don't use this language, okay? Use the passive here. If no action is taken, I will be forced to end my membership and recommend others to do the same. Yours sincerely, because I said Mr. Ahmed, Omar Mustafa. Okay, thank you for watching and see you in the next session, inshallah. We will be talking about semi-formal letters, inshallah. Bye-bye.